Hey, welcome back to Real Talk with me, Nick. Keeping you guys company, keeping you guys entertained all the way. And hey, we're talking about a lot of things that is happening right now in the UK. And one of this is why Boris Johnson and Starmer dived into the row of the European Super League. Yeah, that's right. That is a ongoing hot topic right now that is happening in the UK. But before we get into that, though, I'm going to show you what we are right now, what we're about right here on Relaks Radio. So check this out. That's right. You guys can always check us out on our website, which is www.relaxradio.net. And also, don't forget, you can download the app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Carry us all day, every day. And hey, we were talking about, a lot of these things going on right now. And one of the things that we are going to be touching on right now is the European Super League. Yeah, that is going on. So in case you guys know what is up, what is happening with this, you can always hit me up and let me know. It's 07852 473 473 are the numbers. You can always WhatsApp me, and hey, you can always interact and chat with me and let me know what your thoughts on this issue right before I begin the show. But hey, Boris Johnson did not waste a single moment into this whole issue about this European Super League, and he vows to do everything he can in his power to stop it. And within hours of this announcement from the clubs involved, he had tweeted his condemnation, and all this from a guy who doesn't even play football and he's not even a really big fan of football. So why did he get stuck into this whole scene? Well, he was still during Prime Minister's questions, even dipping into the book of football cliches to declare the decision to ditch the ESL the right result. So as mayor of London during the 2012 London Olympics, Mr. Johnson discovered firsthand the power of sport to unite people and lift the national mood, as well as boosting his own popularity. So yeah, there are other deeper factors at play though. So firstly, let's think about some of the big concepts that have driven British politics in recent years: belonging, identity, and pride. And yes, the famous slogan of 5 years ago from the Vote Leaving campaign, a desire to take back control. So yeah, the European Super League felt like a laser-guided strike on these amorphous but powerful feelings. So, it's essentially, bottling up all of these feelings. And it's crazy because Deborah Madison has said that is pretty much the first thing that they thought about. They're writing about this whole issue when it comes to this whole, the whole football issue that is going on right now, and looking at the ESL through this lens, and seeing a group of powerful global brands cooking up what critics see as a self-serving money spinning scheme without even asking the people upon which their empires were built, the supporters, what they make of it. So why shouldn't these companies seek to maximize their asset? What about the conservative instinct for the free market? Well, Downing Street argued that this was different and that the clubs aren't just global brands. They originate from local communities, said the number 10. And this is not just a pure business decision. It is important for the fans and for their local communities. So Sir Kai Starmer was just outspoken as the prime minister in his condemnation of the ESL, and just as quick to welcome its demise. And even as an Arsenal season ticket holder, said the Labour leader, with a reference to one of the 6 English clubs who wanted to be part of the ESL, he felt the move would have destroyed football. So yeah, Starmer and Johnson, both appear to understand, how politics is changing in the aftermath of the whole Brexit situation. So what they're trying to say is, the big message in politics over the last 10 years, over the last decade, is with Brexit and the realignment of party support, is people want power and influence set down towards them, not up and away from them. So football, which has its local roots, is drifting away from people when the current in politics are going in the opposite direction, says Matthew Godwin, a professor of politics at the University of Kent. And then there is the geography to consider. There is a new political geography in Britain. In the vast majority of the consistency, the Conservatives won from the Labour at the last election, there are loads of people, there's a bunch of people actually, who feel passionately about this and about this sport. So yeah, there's been a lot of these, there's this red wall in these constituencies. So in other words, in England's political battleground towns, this issue has disproportionate resonance. So as Paul Walk, has reflected on many of these towns, they're talking about Everton, Burnley, Liverpool, Leeds, Sheffield, Manchester City, Manchester United, all of these, the clubs that want to take part in the ESL. They're saying, these are places where identity, belonging, and taking back control matters, and whose football teams aspire to climb the league pyramid, and their success the only determinant of how high they might get. And so, this is just a lot of this issue is going on, and a lot of talk is going on, especially when it comes down to this whole European Super League issue. And they're trying to dismiss it. They're trying to close it. They're trying to shut it down completely. The Boris Johnson is saying, hey, this is what we should not strive to be. We should not. We should avoid being something like this. And they also said, places enthused by the Brexit and arguably drawn to a promise to level up the government's jargon for spreading wealth and power to previously neglected areas. So yeah, they're saying, a lot of these things that is happening, and the football elite, the Premier League, is overwhelmingly based in labor voting. Urban remains leaning seats. So yeah, not a single top flight side has the word town in its title, even if a few sides are based in town. So it's a lot of these issues are going on with, the whole ESL thing, and not a lot of people are happy. And they're saying, it's going to destroy the sport. It's going to ruin what football actually means. So yeah, that is, there's something that is going on right now in the world of sports. And on other things though, UK is cutting their aid budget. So charities call for this £500 million cut, a tragic blow. So yeah, humanitarian aid by the UK is cut down, and are tragic blows for many of the world's most marginalized people. 200 charities said this in a joint statement. I mean, cutting down from charity, you're cutting down the budget for charity is just crazy. And then these organizations, including, Save the Children, Oxfam, said humanitarian assistance was being reduced by more than 500 million pounds. That's a lot of money, 500 million pounds. And Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said the changes reflected a strategic shift in UK aid spending. And he also said, that 18 million pound budget was given to China will be reduced to 900,000 pounds. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut down on the charity and amount of budget when it comes to, this aid relief and all of that. And this is mostly due to, the economic shock of the coronavirus crisis. So the chancellor cut the foreign aid budget cut from 0.7% to 0.5% of a total national income. So that's a reduction of around 4 billion pounds. And it's mostly got to do with this whole coronavirus situation. With the whole coronavirus situation happening, it affected our economies. That's not a lie. That's what's happening right now. Then a lot of these things is, what is bothering them. And this is one of the reasons why the budget cut was initiated. So yeah, the Foreign Office controls 80% of aid spending, and that's essentially 8 billion pounds. And the priorities were set out by Mr. Raab in a written statement, so that more than 1 billion pounds will be spent on COVID and global health, and 500 million towards tackling climate change, and 400 million on getting girls into education. So that is, they're focusing more. Okay, charities, we do charities at the same time, but what we're doing is now we're cutting back on that, and we're focusing more on tackling the climate change issues. We're tackling the COVID issues. That is, that is the real pressing matters right now. And then they're cutting on for 400 million. They're giving 400 million pounds on getting, girls into education, into schools, getting all of them educated. So Mr. Raab said it was a challenging financial climate and due to the COVID-19, and said that the government had sought maximum strategic coherence, impact, and value for taxpayers' money. But HR said that even the priority areas were receiving less than before, and 500 million pounds less was being spent on humanitarian aid. So yeah, the 200 charities, which include a lot of these charities that is in the UK, said that today's announcement is a tragic blow for many of the world's most marginalized people the UK once supported. And for the UK's reputation as a trusted development partner, the government has not even spared countries ravaged by humanitarian crisis, disease, war, and poverty. So yeah, that's just, a lot of these charities that are, benefiting, like in, receiving these funds and all of that, are not quite happy with this budget cut. I mean, the focus has shifted towards the more bigger pressing matters right now. currently in the present time, like the COVID issues, then we have climate change, then we have people, children getting to school. This is one of the issues that we need to address, and this is the more pressing matters right about now. So it just makes sense why they're even doing this. So the government announced, it was cutting all this foreign aid last November, but it was still to say precisely where the axe will fall. So they haven't really quite decided on where they're going to do it. And these charities are waiting anxiously to see which programs will lose funding and which will survive. So a lot of these charities are afraid also they're going to lose, they're going to lose their organizations or charity fundings. And, that'll completely cut them off from all of this. So that is one of their major pressing concerns. But we are also getting some kind of indication from governments now about its priorities. So the priorities essentially is climate change, it's COVID, it's the virus, it's the vaccine, global health, girls' education, supporting open societies, trade, economic development, and so much other more things. I mean, before we can help other countries, we got to help ourselves as well, and we got to focus on the weak points in our country. And this is just one of the weak points that we realized ever since the pandemic hit us. So that is just one of the things that our government is taking a shift in focus, rather a shift in priorities. So the numbers announced by the Foreign Office has said that they allow charities to calculate how much less will be spent on areas before them. So that will help them plan. And what these numbers will do is diminish the controversy. So yeah, this ministers argue the decision to cut down on aid has been made. It is time to decide how to best make it happen. But charities and many MPs, including a goodly number of conservatives, still oppose the cuts and are working to stop them. So plans for a legal challenge are being considered. So they're trying to take this into courts, and they're trying to legally, avoid this whole budget cut. And when it comes to aid cut like this, and a lot of them are not happy. So the critics, say the government can't ignore a legally binding target to spend 0.7% of national income on aid. So the FCDO reckons it makes the cuts without holding a vote to change the law. So campaigners might want a judge to decide who is right. So for now, the government is pressing ahead with its cuts it says are needed to keep the treasury in funds for other priorities. At the same time, I get one of the things why they're doing this is it's understandable what is going on, but this is just another sad, unfortunate thing, that is happening in the UK. I mean, we're focusing now more on the things that is happening, that is affecting us, and that is immediately affecting us. Like when it comes to these COVID issues, when it comes to girls going into education, or when it comes to a lot of this, climate change, these are very pressing matters at the moment. So these are the matters that they're trying to focus, and they're trying to put their finger on it and say, hey, this is something that we have to focus on as a country and as a community. This is the most priority. This is a more pressing matter. And this is one of the things, what we need to address and where our budgets should be going to, where we should be, the influx of money should be going to this, not, okay, we're always going to give charity. It's not like we're cutting it off completely, but at the same time, we have to focus on the more important things. And this is just some of that. And with that, though, we'll be back with some more interesting conversations right after this. And taking a look at your time right now, it is 5:20. Good evening.